And they were perfect in the first two games. And for the Houston Rockets, some hope. They lead 62-59. Brent Musburger coming up at the half.
Live from Houston, CBS Sports coverage of the 1986 Finals is sponsored by Chrysler Plymouth. We're making Made in America mean something again. And by AT&T. In long-distance services, information and network systems, telephones, and computers, AT&T is the right choice.
Well, here at the half, a game the Rockets have to have, and they're up on the Celtics by 3 points, 62-59. Now, of course, there is another story unfolding in sports. The Kemper into the sixth sudden death hole. Greg Norman and Larry Mize are dueling away. We're going to keep you up to date with Pat Summerall. But first, we want to go back in history in the NBA. The big men, the key to any victory. And, of course, the greatest winner of all time was Bill Russell. 11 titles in 13 years. Wilt Chamberlain, the great individual skills of the still. And then along came Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he broke Chamberlain's all-time scoring record. But they all followed the first man, number 99, out at DePaul, and later with the Minneapolis Lakers, big George Mikan with that sweeping hook shot. And what a pleasure it is to have George with us. George, if you had your choice of any of the big men to win one game in their prime, which one of those fellows would you choose?
Boy, you ask great questions. I'd have to go with Jabbar. Kareem, I think he does it all. He's a very astute player. He's on top of his game, and he makes things happen. When he has the ball, you better look out.
George, are you at all envious of the great amounts of money? Were you born at the wrong time as a big man?
Well, I was in the covered wagon days. The type of money they paid me, they used for tips today.
How much were you paid? What was your bonus when you signed?
There was no bonus, Brent. They didn't even know the word. My opening contract was for $12,000.
Did you have to fight for that?
Yes, I held out for a month to get $12,000. Can you beat that?
No, George, I want to take a look at your style. We've got on videotape. Describe yourself to me as a center back in those days with the Lakers.
Okay, well, I was a power center. I like to find my man in position. I'd back in, take a big step and hook to the side I was on the basket. And our style of play was that we would use the cutters. Well, there's the old sky hook that we used many years ago on a run.
George, the 24-second clock, we all take it for granted in the NBA. You're responsible. Tell me that story.
Well, we played against Fort Wayne many years ago, and the game ended up 19-18. They just would not score. They would just sit on the ball. And the thing burned in my memory was that on the shot just prior to the end of the game, Larry Faust went in on a hook shot. I tipped it in for Larry Faust. I made 2 points for Fort Wayne, and they won 19-18.
And, of course, you were also responsible for the change in the goaltending rules and several others. But, George, you were one time a commissioner of the ABA. This is a shot from that time. Look at that dark hair you had then. But Minneapolis is after an expansion franchise in the NBA. Now, the Lakers moved out to Los Angeles. Will that city now support a professional basketball team?
I believe so, because we ran 3 exhibition games in the last 3 years and drew over 15,000 at each game at top prices. We have 3 places to play that we never had when I was playing. We have the Met Center, we have the Metrodome, and we have the St. Paul Civic Center. All that seat 18,000 or better. And indicative of the fan support in Minnesota, we had the NC2A quarterfinals there and sold out every night.
All right. So it should be a great city for the NBA, in your opinion.
I believe so.
George, thanks for being with us this afternoon. 2 stories coming up in the Kemper Open, and Pat O'Brien will look at Robert Reed of the Rockets.
Working it.
What do you think?
For Larry Mize, and congratulations to Greg Norman. He was 0-3 in playoff.
Hey,
Now he's won one. It took a while, but he got it done.
All right, buddy. You guys work for you, no problem.
Larry Mize twice in the water on the 6th hole of sudden death. Greg Norman hard to hold.
No, he's in the water. He
To win the $90,000 first prize.
All I had to do was make 4. Hey.
How's the second one feel, Greg?
And the great white shark
How's the second
finally
one?
gotten done.
Oh, they all feel good.
Now let's go back to basketball and Dick Stockton.
Sure. Okay. Yes, thanks.
Hi, Pat. Thank you. Greg Norman, the great white shark from Australia, and he's been a bridesmaid several times. He also happened to be a visitor in Game 1 of the Boston Garden. And George Mikan, what were your thoughts about this first half? I thought it was like a fight with the Rockets hitting the Celtics with their best shot.
Well, you know something, it's been very tenacious out there. The defense has been real strong. In the opening part of the game, Boston committed a lot of errors because of the pressing defense that Houston put on them. But, you know, as the game progressed, that Boston is something. They just keep picking away, waiting their time. And they got that one ingredient called Larry Bird. He's fantastic. The work he does on the defensive board is something to behold for his size against the Twin Towers out there. I just am amazed at the great job he can do. And then Walton came in for Boston, played very well for him, made 6 strategic points, gave him a lot of stability when they needed it. And as a result, they're in the ball game. This second half, we're going to need some more shooting from the outside by Houston so they can keep the pressure off Olajuwon and Big Sampson. Olajuwon had a rather tough first half because he was triple teamed and all those things, but the guards did a fantastic job for him to keep him in the ball game.
Quickly pick a winner for me, Houston or Boston?
Oh, you stinker. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, you see, you never would go out on a limb.
Well, I would, but I would like to see Houston win.
Yeah, that's because his son played for Bill Fitch, folks. I know that.
Okay.
We're going to come back with the second half. It's going to be Dick Stockton and Tommy Heinsohn. The Boston Celtics lead the Rockets 2-0, but the Rockets lead here by 3 points, and we'll continue.
1986 NBA Finals. Despite the fact that they have played a much better game, they find that their lead is only 3 over the Boston Celtics. What's surprising there, field goal percentage is Boston's 43. Parrish, Ainge, and Johnson are 7 of 24 for the Celtics. Let's move along to the free throws, where the Rockets have finally found a way to go to the line, and they did more than the Celtics did in the first half. Backcourt has been a problem for the Houston Rockets in relation to the Celtics in the scoring department, but in the first half, the Rocket backcourt outscored the Celtic guards 29-19. Tommy Heinsohn, I want to ask you 2 things. Number 1, the foul trouble we have here, and 2, I'm going to ask you about the third period, which has been the key to Boston's victory so far.
Well, I think the foul trouble here, obviously, with 3 on Akeem, it's going to interrupt their low post game. But they were going to Sampson more anyway, and Sampson's really been playing a fantastic game. Olajuwon only had 1 rebound in that first half and no offensive rebounds. So they've got to get him more involved. I'll tell you this, the third quarter defense is most important. That's where the Celtics have come to the fore. They've used the same look offense to try and then jump on it defensively and take the game away. But the Rockets have run so effectively here in the first half, I don't know if they can do it.
You can see how the Celtics have dominated Houston in the third period of these games, and keep in mind that every once in a while, we talked about it last game in particular, the Celtics put on a spurt sparked by the defense that pulls them away. And I'd have to think, down by 3 points, the Celtics really are not in bad shape right now.
No, they're not, particularly with Parrish, who really didn't have his game hands on. I've never seen Parrish fumble a ball as many times as he did in that first quarter. And he has to really do the job. He did a creditable rebounding job, but offensively,